What up, world? So I just wanted to come out here and say happy 6 months to my second baby, Vuela. This book has sold already like 30 to 40 copies in the last 6 months of it being out on Amazon. And I just wanted to come out here and say, or tell y'all basically the journey that I went on with this book. So as a lot of you know, I was in a entanglement, as we say now, from November to beginning of January with a friend who was a friend of mine for a very long time before we decided to embark on this journey. You know, me being long distance away from him was a little weird for me, but also, if you know me, it's my normal, so I didn't think twice of it. You know, it being that it was someone that I trusted and someone that I knew I could trust in the long run. What can I say? I mean, he got along well with my family, whatever. This book was being written actually the day right after I released Alone at the Round Table. So it had been sitting in my computer since June 5th. You know, pieces were pushed around here and moved around there. As any book writer knows, or as any writer in general knows, we always move things around, we always edit things, we always delete this and add that, or whatever the case may be. So at first, the book was originally called I'll Wait. If you know me and have known me personally for the last 6 or 7 years since I've been performing in Orlando and New York, I do this thing on stage where if I feel that no one's paying attention to what I'm saying while I'm on stage, I will pause and I'll say, I'll wait. And everyone laughs and it's a whole joke and it's just funny to everyone. So I figured, why not give the people a funny title for my next book, something that we can all always remember the book by, and my legacy as it continues. So it was going to be called I'll Wait. And it had the same cover with the clouds in the sky from a plane view. But as time went by, I figured that the clouds in the sky with the plane view needed a better name. Vuela came to mind, fly in Spanish. Being that I moved to the Dominican Republic in 2018 and had been writing and going back and forth from here to New York to Orlando and back, I figured that that was the proper name to give this book. So within my entanglement finishing and me deciding to release the book, I had written a lot, but there were also pieces in the book that had been written years ago that didn't make it to Alone at the Round Table, and I'll get into that in a little bit. So with Alone at the Round Table, it was written, or it had come to my attention from one of my best friends that it had been written more for y'all. You know, the people who have been supporting me since day one of me writing, or me starting my writing and performing journey. The pieces in book one are pieces that I call my pocket pieces, are my go-to pieces when I'm performing on stage. Most of them are the pieces that I usually pick when I'm doing an open mic or a feature set or whatever the case may be. Vuela was more for myself. It was more of a reminder of who I was before and what I've come to be and who I aspire to be in the future. The situation that I had come out of in early January really came as a surprise to me because, again, this man had painted me such a beautiful picture of what our lives were going to be like together. And again, being that we were friends for such a long time, I trusted this man and I figured this was the right move for me to make. So for Alone at the Round Table's 6 months, which was in December, I flew to Florida. We had a whole little, you know, half birthday party for Alone at the Round Table where I sold 10 more copies of the book and I had a great night. My best friend popped out and sold cupcakes and other stuff that night as well. And everyone who came out to celebrate with me, thank you very much. I love y'all and I appreciate y'all. So with Vuela, like I said before, a lot of my old pieces came into this because I felt like it was more of a message to myself to keep going, and that things were going to get better, and that things were going to continue to get better if I kept pushing myself to do so. Whereas Alone at the Round Table was more for y'all to, you know, keep on the coffee table, or read on your way to work on the train, or read on break, or whatever the case may be, especially now that we're all in the middle of a pandemic all over the world. So Vuela, again, was a letter to myself, basically, but I'm so thankful for everyone who has bought a copy and has given me feedback and has loved the book as much as I love it myself. I mean, it's my second child. It's my, you know, it's the middle child, because there are more books coming, but Vuela was a very important message for me and for other people who are going through it, to kind of just keep going and not let anything stop you, and to just keep flying, because better things will come. And I can tell you that in the last 7 months, better things and worse things have come and gone, and I'm still here, still pushing, still working on a better version of myself, for myself and for my supporters and for my fans and everyone who's bought books and reposted poems on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, whatever the case may be. Back in, I want to say June, I was interviewed on a podcast, Blacker the Berry podcast. Thank you to Los and Dean for the opportunity. That was awesome, because someone read my poems back to myself, and I was like, damn, like, I really was going through it when I wrote that. And one of the pieces that sticks out to me the most is actually Waves, where I'm talking about, you know, the men that I've encountered, who I've met at shows that we've all gone to, that continue to look at me funny when they see me walking around, or getting off stage or coming in. They see, you know, short little girl, usually with a long brown straight hair. I know this might be like, who the heck is this to y'all, but you know, that they see that girl coming into venues or leaving venues or coming off stage or whatever the case may be, and they see at first a dope personality, or they meet at first the poet named Nat, but when they notice the disability, they're like, hey, maybe not, or they'll try to engage a conversation with me to see what's up, you know. And I wrote the piece because it's happened so many times, where I'll meet a cool guy and, you know, we're vibing or whatever, and then he becomes uncomfortable, and I always usually know why, and it's always really funny to see. So that's where that came from. That piece has been received so well by all of you, and I thank you so much. Another one that has been received pretty well is I want to say Flaca, because, you know, a lot of us, everyone who grew up in a Hispanic household, you know, we are told that being skinny is the norm, but we're also told that being skinny or being too skinny is not good. So I was always kind of like right on that spectrum, where I would go to school and it was, oh, she's so skinny though, like she's all right, and I would go home and it's like, yo, she's so skinny though, like it's not all right. So it was like, you know, it was like juggling, like which one is all right, like am I skinny enough, or am I not skinny enough, or am I not built the right way to be received the right way by other people, which who cares now, but back when I wrote this, that was kind of my mindset. Another one that I personally love is poetry. I wrote that in 2014 as a response to, I want to say, I think it was one of Rudy Francisco's poems. I'm not sure which one it was at that moment, but it was a response to one of his poems, where I'm basically telling another person, like, yo, you left me for poetry. But it was kind of like written in a voice of, like, you know, someone else is telling me, like, yo, like, you replaced me with poetry, and that's not okay. I feel like that kind of became my life, where when a situation wasn't going right romantically, I would run right to poetry, and that was my my safety blanket. That was what saved me from going nuts sometimes. I mean, let's face it, it's true. So that piece was also a good favorite of mine. Jungle, I feel like I wrote it, I want to say 2015, 2016, but it came from a place where I was trying to move to New York in 2013 to finish school out there and to pursue, my writing career and other things that were coming about for me at that time when I started my spoken word career at the age of 22. And I had so many people in my ear, like, is it the right move? Is it the right choice? Like, will you be okay? And it became kind of like, if I leave, I probably won't be okay on my own. But if I leave, I also will be okay on my own because I have family out there in New York anyway. But it obviously did not come to be, because then I became the one that everyone went to for everything in Orlando. So that obviously didn't come to light. But that was also a favorite of mine, Jungle. Low key, if you know me, you know that I was in a situation with a person for 2.5 years where everything was cool with him as long as we kept it under wraps. Or he treated me better when it was just us two talking, and then he would go on social media and act like a whole different person. So that became very tiring, and I was very tired of our love being low key. Like, I wanted to be shown off the way I showed him off all the time. Never worked, but God had better plans for me, and that's totally okay. Buenos Dias instantly became a favorite because I was using my advantage of Spanglish in the piece. Again, it was related to the situation that I was in late last year, early this year, where I was this man's energizer. I kept him going with his lies without knowing. And that's where that came about. I won't go too much into detail about that, but there we go. Sing for me, I won't go too much into detail about that because it's a situation I'm still trying to get over. But just know that things happen in our lives, and some things we're not very proud of that we take part in, but we move forward and life goes on, right? Shift. Now, if you read Alone at the Round Table, you read Only Human, you've heard Only Human before many times, you know that I have used Only Human to describe at least 3 different people in my life. And it didn't click to me until I dedicated it to the last person I dedicated it to. And Shift is basically talking about how I was able to do that, how I was able to fit 3 different situations into one poem without really noticing it, and how different each situation played out to be. So that was that. Café, I wrote it when I was in said situation last year or this year, talking to the person that I had left, talking to him about, I wonder where you are now that we don't speak anymore. I wonder if you still think about me. I wonder if it's okay for me to go to you for anything now, knowing that someone else is taking care of what you left. And as we know, that did not play out right, but here we are anyway. A love letter. A love letter is basically my own answer to poetry. Telling her, or telling him, whatever the case may be, that I've always loved poetry, whether it came in the form of hip hop or whatever. It's always been part of my life, and I felt like I needed to show poetry my appreciation for it in a different manner, rather than talking about how I replaced my love life with poetry every single time. Polar, I wrote again after my situation had ended earlier this year. And basically, I'm not going to go too much into detail about the book. If you have not bought the book yet, the link is in my bio. Go buy that. Basically, with each piece in this poem that I had written, either during my situation or after it, or before it, whatever the case may be, I felt fit the message I was trying to give myself. Like, you've gone through all these different situations, you can get out of this one as long as you keep writing and keep reading them to yourself. And that's exactly what I felt like I did. It's been a crazy journey, and it was insane how I was able to really push myself to write this in such a short amount of time and release it the day before my 29th birthday. It wasn't supposed to see the light of day for a very, very, very long time, but I figured, you know, my heart is broken, and what I do best when my heart is broken is focus on other things and write till I can't anymore, write till I cry, basically. And that's exactly what I did. I worked on Vuela for a very long time, or a very short time, I should say, even though, you know, I talked about it for like a month and released it within weeks of me talking about it. And I was very surprised at how well it was received, just like Alone at the Round Table was. And you know that if things had gone better, I would have celebrated this a better way. But life happens to all of us. And all I can say is keep writing, keep pushing, keep flying, just not to the Dominican Republic or anywhere else. Just keep flying into your writing, keep flying into loving yourself, keep flying into finding yourself and healing yourself, which is what writing has always done for me. Also, you know, Alone at the Round Table did celebrate 1 year of being published 2 months ago, and I was so upset that I couldn't celebrate it properly. But once the world opens back up again and I can fly to New York or to Florida, wherever, it will be celebrated the right way that I feel should be celebrated, and we will have an amazing time wherever we may be for that, you know. So once again, I mean, Vuela was a message to myself that I'm glad you all took the time to read, because one of the pages in the book as well is a picture of me as a kid, you know. And I'm telling that kid, like, you've gone through so much in your life and you're gonna let heartbreak stop you from continuing? No. You've gone through so much at this point in your life. It's at 5 years old. You're going to go through a lot worse, but this one was for you. This one was for you to know that things will be all right no matter what you're going through. And since I was 5, I've gone through a whole heap of shit. You know, surgeries, illnesses, losses, gains, moving to a brand new city, moving to a brand new country, meeting people, loving, getting my heart broken, losing people, meeting some of my idols, seeing some of my idols in person in concert. You know, it's been a crazy 23-year gap or 24-year gap between that picture and now, and I'm just blessed to say that I was present for all of it. You know, just keep pushing, guys. I promise. It might not be today, but things get better. And hopefully once February 16th comes around, we can celebrate Vuela's first birthday in a better way, and then celebrate my, you know, my 30th birthday the next day in a better way. But peace and love and happiness to the rest of you, and keep reading, keep writing, keep dreaming, and keep loving, no matter how hard it may be. Love y'all.